Emerson opens the work by giving us an introduction and tackling two really important points in the text. First, it's important to know that this was published in book form. Most people don't read it in book form, they read it in some sort of anthology or collection or whatnot, but it was its own book, short though it may have been. The first two questions that he brings up in the introduction are one, the essential dualism that appears throughout the universe. What is it? Why does it exist? How can we know it? And the second question is really the principal question of the work, and that is, to what end is nature? That is, why does it exist? So he's dealing with incredibly deep questions here. The first one there, the essential dualism that appears throughout the universe, this is something that's been part of Western philosophy for eons, all the way back to Plato and so on. This idea of Platonic idealism. There are the ideas, and then there are the physical forms. There's matter and mind, or matter and spirit. We see it with St. Paul. We see it through much of the New Testament. The notion of flesh versus spirit. The idea that we can divide the universe into essentially two types of substances: spirit and matter. Emerson's kind of on the same track with that. He's identifying the dualism that he sees within the universe, and the universe, he says, is composed of nature and the soul. All that is separate from us, all which philosophy distinguishes as the not me, that is, both nature and art, all other men, and my own body, must be ranked under this name, nature. I didn't have a chance to do this because I'm not technologically savvy enough, but if you take a piece of paper and you draw a circle, and then you cut the circle in half, and on one half of the circle you put the me, and on the other half of the circle you have the not me. The me is spirit. The me is what you might call God, or my soul, or anything that is not physical. Over on the other side of the circle, the not me, according to Emerson, would be matter. It would be all of nature, and then also anything that is other than any other person than myself, because you are the not me to me. Even though I may think or suppose or assume that you also have a spirit, to me, from my perspective, you are not part of the spirit that I participate in. You participate perhaps in the oversoul, or God, the way I do, but I can't know you the way I can know God, which is directly. Okay, it's very deep stuff, very complex stuff. But the idea that he's saying the universe consists of essentially two substances. Everything is composed of either nature or soul, the me or the not me. The goal is to bring the me in line with the universal source of spirit through the medium of nature. It's nature that gives us the conduit, the ability to know the rest of what's in that half of the circle of me. I'm in there, Dr. Litton, Joe Blow, whoever it happens to be, you, each of you are in that side of that circle under the heading of me, but so is the oversoul, or what we would call God. So are all other souls, but I can't know that. But I can know the oversoul or the Godhead through nature, through observation of nature. And if you look at that particular passage, one of the most famous passages, the cartoon over in the bottom right of this slide is by Cranch, Cranch. He was a kind of an artist who was part of the transcendental community, and when he read nature, he thought it was kind of funny, this little passage, I become a transparent eyeball. It's one of the most famous passages in all the piece. So he drew a caricature of Emerson walking around as an eyeball with a hat on. But if you look at this particular passage where he talks about becoming a transparent eyeball in the nature section, it says, standing on the bare ground, my head bathed by the blithe air and uplifted into infinite space, all mean egotism vanishes. I become a transparent eyeball. I am nothing. I see all. The currents of the universal being circulate through me. I am part or parcel of God. The name of the nearest friend sounds then foreign and accidental. To be brothers, to be acquaintances, master or servant, is then a trifle and a disturbance. I am the lover of uncontained and immortal beauty. In the wilderness I find something more dear and connate than in streets or villages. In the tranquil landscape, and especially in the distant line of the horizon, man beholds somewhat as beautiful of his own nature. Now, this is essentially a description of what is a transcendental experience. And it's called transcendental because you are transcending the day-to-day existence that you walk around, the sort of the awareness that you have, the reality of your world. You're transcending that. You're transcending through nature, going to God. Now, this is all, like I said, very deep, very metaphysical stuff, and it's very mystical stuff. But at the same time, Emerson's quite clear about it. That he senses that there are two basic substances in the universe, and that what's inside of his physical corporal existence is a piece of something that is much larger, meaning all of the spirit in the universe, that I am part and parcel of this God. I'm a little piece of God inside of me. And what God wants us to do, the Oversoul is a nickname that Emerson uses for God in other later publications, so that's why we call it the Oversoul. He wants us to connect with Him, or it does. And the way we do that is through nature. Nature is this conduit to God. Now, a bunch of people walking around saying, "Well, I don't know how to do this. I mean, I go out and see the woods, the wilderness, the landscape, and all I see is a bunch of trees and cows and such." Emerson says that's because you're not contemplating and you're not deeply thinking and pondering about the source of that matter, the spirit behind that matter, the spirit that produced or exists beneath or beyond that matter. And that extensive contemplation will eventually lead to a higher level of consciousness and enlightenment that basically is the equivalent of a sort of a spiritual mystical experience. And he just described that with the transparent eyeball experience. But it's nature that allows us to do that. It's the vehicle through which we get to the rest of the me, the Oversoul, or God. Emerson opens the work by